following Four Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Hello. Okay, there's my mic. All right, my mic is good. Now your mic is good. Yeah, your mic is good too. So what's
Perfecto.
up, Mr. Alpha? Yes, sir. For those of y'all just chiming in, what's up? I'm K Double. That guy over there is Alpha, and we're here to bring you yet another great edition of the Cheap Pop Podcast. And as y'all know, don't have to tell you exactly what we talk about. Is a little bit of everything around here. So let's start out the biggest in the comic book and comic movie universe right now is the argument that's going on between Mother Disney and Father Sony over the child, a spider that is Spider-Man. Let's just say there's not really knowing what this all is about, because basically what I've read is that, and watched a couple of YouTube videos about it, is that basically what it's about is that I guess Disney has not made a dime off of either Spider-Man movie, Far From Home or Homecoming. They have not made a dime off of that box office. All of that went to Sony, right? Disney made their money off of like advertising, product placement, toys, etc. Disney wanted to bring Sony back to the table to say, hey, look, like y'all just made $1 billion off the last Spider-Man movie. Like moving forward, we should be splitting these profits for the box office. And Sony basically said no. Basically, the equivalent of it is to wrap it all up nice and neatly. Disney said that, Sony said no, picked up their ball and went home. So
in summation, everybody's going for Sony's head.
Yeah, at this point,
pretty much.
Because I actually just answered in it's a face fan site that I'm on called Comic Books Call to Action. And the guy asked the question, does Sony need Marvel to continue to do good with the Spider-Man series, or are they fine without them? I answered it very simply. I'll give a quick summation of my answer real quick. I said Sony doesn't need Marvel, per se, to put out a Spider-Man movie. But the fact of the matter is, the last two Spider-Man movies were basically the best two Spider-Man movies that have ever been put out. And the main reason for that is because it was Marvel's writers who wrote the scripts. So if you leave Disney, you're losing Marvel's writers, which means that at best we'll get another version of Venom, but with Superman involved in, or Spider-Man involved in it. Like, the Venom movie was decent, but it wasn't really like a really good movie.
Yeah, I've said it before, like, the Venom movie is good, but if you're talking about a compelling story, then you're looking in the wrong place. Exactly.
And so to me, Sony may not need Marvel, but this hurts Sony a lot. Because they even at half of the profits, you're still bound to make billions off of that IP, letting Marvel produce and write the movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so picking up your ball and going home was just silliness. Like taking the IP and just saying, no, we want to cancel the contract and everything. It's just stupid to me on Sony's part, that is.
Like, I've heard a lot of people say that, you know, it's partially Disney's fault for asking for 50-50. Like, if we're really putting it into perspective, 50-50 of one of the biggest movie series of all time, I'd say, that's still a lot. That's a lot of profit for both sides.
Yep.
And even asking for 60-40, that's a lot of fucking money. And just taking your ball and going home on a really big chance.
Yeah. And that's truly what it is, that you're taking a big chance that you're going to be able to produce the same quality of movies that that Marvel produced, and I just don't see Sony doing that. Like let's admit it. The first 3 Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire were great. They had their appeal. A lot of the reason why people fawn over them now is nostalgia, more so than the quality of the actual movie. It's just like, oh yeah, that was a pretty good series, but let's be real. The Andrew Garfield ones, as much as I liked them, weren't as good as the original 3, and none of those 5 were as good as Homecoming or Far From Home.
No doubt. If we're talking in like, as much as I do love the Tobey Maguire movies, the fact of the matter is, like, I still go back to those movies because those are the movies that made my childhood.
Right.
Those are the movies that I had posters of, and I had all that stuff. And if I didn't grow up on those movies, I'm pretty sure I'd be a lot more cynical of them.
Yeah.
And if I'm being completely honest, I've always sort of abhorred the Andrew Garfield movies.
Yeah.
I've liked them solely for Jamie Foxx and his role as Electro and how he did that. But but I always thought that above all else, although the Andrew Garfield movies are good, they're the worst in a good series.
Right.
But if we're just talking in pure production value and just a good, compelling story, nothing touches the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
No, nothing at all. And I'm sorry to say it. Like I was watching a video where they were talking about basically like Sony's plan is, if they don't work things out with Disney, like they're going to do a Spider-Verse movie where they're going to bring together Garfield and all that. I don't want to see that movie produced by Sony. I truly don't. I want to see that movie produced by Marvel. I want to see that movie written by Marvel. I don't want to see that movie written and produced by Sony, because I think it will be a lackluster effort, because a lot of people would forget that even the Into the Spider-Verse animated movie, the actual writers for Marvel were involved in the writing of that script. And
that's what made it as good as it was.
Exactly. So I'm like, once you lose the ability to have access to the Marvel writers, people who've dealt with some of these properties for as long as they possibly could, what I'm saying? As long as they possibly could, in the sense of like, some of these people have worked with these properties and worked with Marvel, the comic book side, for 10, 15, 20 years. They understand how to write a comic book story. They understand how to write a comic book story well. Not to mention the fact you've already got a lot of stuff built up. Like one person put, I don't understand what Sony's doing. Sony was set to make billions, even with a 50-50 deal, considering the fact that they had already slotted Spider-Man into basically being the Iron Man role of this next saga, of this next, Marvel saga.
That's perfectly. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That transitions into the next subject we were going with, like what hole is left in the MCU because of this now.
Right, exactly.
And I think that leaves a massive gap in the universe, because Tom Holland was very, very clearly reared up to be the next Spider-Man. I mean, the next Iron Man-ish place in the universe, because you had Valkyrie or Jane Foster taking the place of Thor. You had Sam Wilson taking the place of Captain America. And the only singular person who had been able to take that metaphorical place that Iron Man was in was Tom Holland. And they had perfectly built that up with the relationship and everything. And that's the worst part about them losing Spider-Man, I think, is that they really put a lot of emphasis on him since his inception in Civil War and all that.
Yep. Yeah. And
they put all of their eggs in one basket with him, and without him, they have a massive hole in their universe, and that's a big pothole that they're going to have to feel if this is a permanent loss for them.
It is. And yeah, there's different ways that they can go with it. Like what I'm saying, like they could easily bring in Ironheart. But once again, it would be thrown together. It would be kind of a last minute thing. And I'm pretty sure, I'm almost 100% sure that losing Spider-Man alters the storylines for pretty much every major movie that they had coming out moving forward. And not to mention the fact that I believe it's next November, the sequel to Doctor Strange is due out. And that movie's supposed to touch on the multiverse. So we were already heading towards that multiverse storyline, and now all of a sudden Spider-Man is just gone. And can't say gone yet. It's not 100% over yet. They're still in talks. But
it's all hypothetical. If it is a big loss for them, if it is a permanent loss, it's all hypothetical speaking.
Exactly, and that part to me is just like, And one of my favorite memes that came out of this, I should say, kind of explains it the most to me. It showed this woman, and she's sitting there holding her child, but above her head it says Marvel, and oh God, I can't even remember what the meme said. Now I'd have to go back and look it up. Never mind, I lost track on that one completely. It showed Marvel, and it said Marvel across the mother's face, and she's holding like two kids, right? And one kid says Fox. And the other one says, I forgot what the other one was. It was her face was Disney. Now one kid's head said Marvel, and the other kid's head said Fox. And she was pointing at a third kid across his head. It said Sony, and it said, "Don't make me buy you too." And I was just like, damn. Now see,
no, I saw one where it said Disney buys Fox, buys LucasArts, and like 3 other companies.
Yeah,
and it was like Sony takes the rights for Spider-Man, and it said Disney, I'll fucking do it again.
You know, like it would put me on the ground if all of a sudden the next major article that came out was Disney buys Sony.
No, it's like from Justice League. You know, when Batman and Superman were talking, Superman was like, "How'd you get back the house?"
Yeah.
You know, the bank bought it. Batman was like, "I bought the bank."
Yeah.
They can't take my IP away if I buy the whole goddamn company.
Exactly. Shoot. Oh man, but yeah, unfortunately Sony and Disney like two parents fighting over a kid in court need to get their shit together and do what's best for the other kids, which are all of us comic book fans, and leave Spider-Man exactly where he's at and just work something out. Come to a conclusion, whether it's 60-40, 50-50, 70-30, I don't care. Work it out. So
there's a lot of money to be made there if we're just talking money alone. If that's the concern, there's a lot of money to be made with Tom Holland specifically.
Yep.
And it just hurts because like Stan Lee specifically said that he put out that tweet before he died, like he said Tom Holland is the quintessential Spider-Man.
Superman, yeah.
Nobody has fit the role like this kid has, and a few months after his passing away, now they're already at each other's heads about him.
Ugh, it just kills me, man. It kills me.
It hurts. But it's funny though. As a final thought for it, everybody and their mom was on the hype train of we need to stop Disney from becoming this big monopoly and owning everything and taking every little thing. The moment they take away Spider-Man, everybody has flipped completely ass backwards. Everybody's screaming, just buy Sony. Just do it now.
Yep, just buy Sony too. Yep. Oh, man.
It took one single day for that to just whip back around.
Oh, man. Yeah, and I will say this. Really what should have happened was that Sony needs or should have came up to an agreement to sell back Spider-Man, the whole IP property, back to Marvel at a profit. Whatever they paid for it when they bought it from Marvel, they should just say, okay, look, you want it? Okay, cool. You guys did some great things with it. You guys bought it from us for $400 million. We'll sell it back to you for $750 million. Because I can guarantee you Disney would be like, oh, all right. Because the billions we're going to make off the movies and everything else owning the entire IP, sure, we'll sell it back to you for under $1 billion.
That'll more than pay that back.
So, but I think that would be the viable solution for Sony. Because really, Sony, what are you going to do? Like, Marvel Studios is the studio when it comes to comic book movies right now. Like, it just is. Like, DC's trying to do their thing, but when it comes to comic book movies, Marvel Studios is its studio. So why not just sell them back what is Marvel's original property in the first place?
And we aren't even talking in terms of like the Marvel versus DC talk or anything like that. Yeah. If I'm being completely honest, in terms of just comic book movies as a whole, nothing touches their writing style and their team.
Yep.
Because you look at other IPs that came from comic books. You look at Spawn, you look at Hellboy, you look at things like that, things from Dark Horse, things from Variant. You'll see that the production value and the amount of effort and work put into it is nothing to compared to what Marvel and DC put out. I mean, Marvel and Disney put out.
Well, let's be real. People didn't really realize the power of comic book movies until I want to say, and this will kind of help us transition over to the next subject, the original X-Men, the very, very first one. Okay? That movie kind of set it off. You know what I'm saying? Where people were like, wow, comic book movies not only can be compelling and interesting, but they can make millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. You know, where movie studios started realizing, well, wow, if we actually invest in some of these products or in some of these IPs, we can make back our money like tenfold. You know, and then Marvel just took it up a step by saying, oh, well, we're already a comic book company. We're just going to create our own movie studio and just produce our own comic book movies. You know, now, of course, with Disney purchasing Marvel Studios and all that womp to womp, you know, it went to a more professional, that took it to yet another level, you know, but to me, it was really the release and the success of the original X-Men film that launched what we're seeing today, the big explosion of comic book movies that we're seeing today. And I can almost guarantee you, if the original X-Men had failed, had been a flop, had been just another horrible comic book movie, I don't know if we'd see what we're seeing today.
The landscape would look a lot different. You're not wrong. And I think that's part of the reason why Hugh Jackman was such an integral part of this entire picture.
Yes.
Because he played Wolverine for how many years?
Oh my God.
And how well did he nail that part down for every single time he was in a movie?
Man.
For all intents and purposes, Hugh Jackman is the Wolverine, and it's always going to be that way. A lot of people talked about, you know, exactly. A lot of people talked about retiring the character after, and then there was also talks of recasting, you know, and it just, everything for a lot of people, including me, it just doesn't feel right. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to pull that role off like he does.
Exactly.
And I think a large part of that was because the success of those movies solidified him as the Wolverine.
And that's where people got to get it right when it comes to the X-Men. There's a reason why I've been hesitant since Marvel Studios and Disney purchased Fox and now own the properties to the X-Men. There's a couple of, I'll go with the good and the bad of it. The good of it is that the new round of X-Men movies will have better writing and probably better casting, with an exception for, I will say 4 roles. Professor X, or 5 roles. Professor X, Magneto, Wolverine, Mystique, and trying to think who else. No, that's pretty much it.
Scott Summers.
Yeah,
I'd say Scott Summers, the guy who played,
Summers.
especially in terms of facial structure.
Yeah,
the guy who played Cyclops was fucking on par. That was perfect.
And I'll even give Kelsey Grammer, and I forgot what the younger guy's name is Beast, was a pretty good acting skill. But we'll see better writing from them. Okay, so maybe not better casting. I can't really call it, because X-Men was one of the first to really perfectly cast almost every character. Like even not Scarlett Johansson. I can't remember her name. That played Jean Grey in the first one, not the girl that played her in Dark Phoenix, the girl that played her in the first one.
No, you mean in Last Stand in Part 2, yeah.
Right. Even she was pretty much perfectly cast. But you maybe not casting wise, but writing wise, it's going to be a little bit more cohesion in between the X-Men movies, so on and so forth. Like we should see some steps up, but like I told you before, and we talked about this before as well when we were talking about Marvel doing this with all the Netflix series, is that they're recasting the entire X-Men property. And as much as I love the first 5 movies, I don't know. Like I would still love to see those guys, and they technically have already recast it, but I like the fact that they recast it but brought it all back together in Days of Future Past. Mm-hmm. They kind of brought the two different characters all together. But I just, man, like I said, I don't know. Like the X-Men property, like how are they going to get any better than Hugh Jackman as Wolverine? Like who really? Like, can you think of an actor, like off the top of your head, or even if I gave you a week, could you think of an actor that could play Wolverine as well as Hugh Jackman did?
you can't.
Yeah, I can't even.
You just can't.
I can't think of an
Straight up,
actor that could place Professor X better than Patrick Stewart.
Honestly, even like as somebody who is, I pride myself on being a huge cinema nerd. It's like I know so many actors off the top of my head by name and everything and their performances, and I can't think of a single person who could hit that mark that Hugh Jackman did.
Yeah,
I heard the idea of who's the guy who played Venom?
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. I heard the idea of Tom Hardy, which I think, as iffy as that sounds, that's the closest we're gonna get.
I was gonna say he would be the closest out of all the actors I can come to think of. He would be the closest. Would be Tom Hardy. Yeah, I could see that. But like Ian McCullum is a Magneto, man. It's just not gonna work. I just don't know who they gonna get.
Exactly. That's a picture perfect thing to do. Would be to multiverse it out like we had talked about before with the multiverse bringing all in and everything. They could multiverse it in and have them come in from fucking who knows where. It'd be the same cast, different universe, same movie.
Right.
That would be the best way to do it, but that is still the hardest way to do it.
Yeah.
And probably the least when we have the least chance of getting.
See, to me, I would say it would be better for them to just erase Dark Phoenix. Right? No offense to Dark Phoenix. Erase Dark Phoenix,
Retcon.
First Class, and Apocalypse. Just retcon all of them. They don't exist. Pick up immediately where Last Stand left off.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? And build from there.
I see that.
Because I didn't mind First Class and all the rest of them. Because trust me, I'm a huge Jennifer Lawrence fan, always have been. So when she became Mystique, that was a dream come true for me. I liked her as Mystique. But retcon First Class and all of that, and just give me something that picks up right where 3 left off. But they probably
I don't know if I've said this before, but like X-Men Last Stand isn't only my favorite X-Men movie in that little series I have, but
yeah.
I would consider it to be one of my favorite movies of all time.
Really?
Just because, like, for the final sequence, especially when they're sieging the prison and all that scene is just so fucking badass to me.
Yeah.
And you know how they work in all of the minor mutants that have came in through X-Men that have came and gone.
Yeah.
You know, the
Kitty
chick that
Pryde.
yeah, Kitty Pryde, the chick that functions like a porcupine. All the little obscure mutants that we all know wouldn't have gotten a chance on the big screen if not for that single scene.
Yep. Very true.
And
very, very true.
You can say whatever you want to me. It was a bit dorky, yes. But god damn it, do I love the Juggernaut in that movie.
Oh yeah. Juggernaut was, to me, he was funny. Like his one-liners just made me laugh. It brought some levity to some of the serious situations involved there.
Very true. Like, never ever forget getting trapped in the floor and the "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch" line.
Yeah.
Never ever forget.
Bitch. Yes.
You burst through the ground, and it's. I'll never ever forget that single scene.
I will say one thing. This retcon of all these X-Men characters gives them ability to do one thing, and I think we talked about this last week. It gives them the ability to go back to Angela Bassett. Okay, and yes, I know she already played T'Challa's mom. I know, but you can bring her back as Storm. Damn it, you can bring her back. You can bring her back as Storm. You can fix that Halle Berry debacle and give me my Angela Bassett as Storm. They won't, but you can. But you can if you want to.
We have the technology. We can do better, damn it.
Oh, man. Because to be honest with you, I don't know of who I would want to play Storm right now. 9 chances out of 10, they're probably going to go with an actual African actress. Like I doubt they'll use what's her name from Get Out, because that's the same woman from the Black Panther movies. Or not Get Out, Us. The same woman from Us.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say Us.
Yes, because she's the same one from the Black Panther movie. So she already has her role. I believe that's the same woman that played Okoye. But they'll probably.
Damn, do we all know she could knock that role out of the park?
Oh, hell yeah. And the accent's there. They need to find another her. Like they truly do. Like go back to whatever village she's from in Africa and go get another her to play Storm. Because the reality of it is that you need to have somebody with African descent to play Storm. Like you can't just pick a random black woman. Like it has to be somebody that can get that accent right, because Storm is African. Storm's not, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people failed to realize that. Like, and that was another one of my major issues with Halle Berry playing her. Not because Halle Berry isn't black. Halle Berry is black just like every other black person. But she's not African. She's not Jamaican. You know, and then having her try to pull off that accent at the same time, you know, it was just horrible. Yeah. It made for a horrible mix. And then having her lose the accent, don't even get me started on that. like I could go off for an hour about how jacked up it was. Almost as bad as when they did it with Kofi Kingston.
I was about to say that when Kofi lost his accent out of nowhere, no explanation. It's the same amount of like, what the bloody hell are you doing with this?
You know, and so like they have to find somebody that already has the accent, that already has the look. That already has the feel. Like I said, to an extent, if they hadn't used Angela Bassett already, I would say use Angela Bassett.
Mm. Yeah, I say this as somebody who's very much against the whole PC culture and bullhorning things in that aren't at all necessary. There's a certain tone and a certain feel that comes with that authenticity.
Yes.
With a character who is explicitly African.
Yes.
And I don't think people understand that about the X-Men. Professor Xavier literally plucked her from an African tribe in the very beginning in the 60s comics. Yep. He explicitly plucked her straight from an African tribe, and that's how Aurora became Storm.
And now you bring me to the other thing that I wanted to touch on why we need to retcon fucking Apocalypse. Because basically they said that Apocalypse discovered Storm in that movie and brought her out. Did you notice that?
Yeah, and I didn't like that at all because it's not, God damn it, I'm going to say it again, it's not true to the comics.
Exactly. And so it just brings me around to that. They've screwed up the Storm character horribly. Like throughout all 5 of those movies. Just no offense to Halle Berry. She's a great actress. She just wasn't ever meant to play that role. Ever. Mm-hmm. And it's not, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm not knocking her. I'm not trying to put her down. I'm not trying to say Halle Berry's a shitty actress. No, because she's a really damn good actress. And I've seen her in a lot of roles that I loved her in. That one was not one of them.
That just wasn't one.
It wasn't. It never will be. Doesn't matter how much people want to try to sell me. I've had people, can you believe that? I've actually had people try to convince me and sell me that Halle Berry was good as Storm. And I'm like, look.
No.
Look, put down the dollar bill, stop snorting that crack, and go someplace else with that. Because no. Like, no. Halle Berry was possibly the worst cast character in the entire X-Men series. Period. I even thought the dude that they used for Sabretooth was perfect. Taylor Dane, he was perfect.
Dude, no, he was good. He was great. No, he was wonderful, especially when they took it into the standalone Wolverine movies.
Yes.
They did it perfectly. They really did the duality of Wolverine's this sort of anti-hero, whereas Sabretooth in the opposite direction, he's a complete fucking animal. Yep. He's this primal beast in a man's suit. And the way that he worked it was perfect, much like Hugh Jackman. I don't think anybody's going to get the look down like that guy did.
Oh no! And I forgot what his name was as a wrestler. I don't know if he went by his actual name, but I know the guy that played Sabretooth. Not in I think what was it 2? Was when Sabretooth showed up, or was that the original one?
No, that's the original one. That's the original.
The first one, yeah. When the guy that played him is a professional wrestler. He wrestled for WCW. I know the actor's name is Taylor Dane. At least I believe that's his name. And then I forget if that was his ring name as well. But give me another guy like that. Give me another big guy, but not too big. Like you don't want him too muscular. But we'll see. Like I said, we'll see how they do it. Marvel's been pretty decent at casting everybody for all of the rest of the movies. Let's see if they can get it right with this. Unlike DC, who just cannot seem to cast any of their major characters with the right actors ever. The only one that they got right was Wonder Woman and Aquaman.
At first, I didn't think Jason Momoa would be good, but then I saw the movie and it was just like, no, never mind. I take back everything I ever said.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did have somebody bring up a very valid point about something. They were talking about, I forget which movie it was, being whitewashed as far as the characters, like using white actors to play Asian characters, etc. I still wonder why nobody ever tripped about Aquaman. Maybe because it was an upgrade? But you notice nobody ever tripped about the fact that they used a Samoan dude to play a white character. Aquaman is white.
No, yeah,
you know, like he's white day.
Arthur is not a name for a Samoan man.
You know, I'm like blonde hair, blue eyes, pale skin. Aquaman is about as white as you can get. And they stuck a Samoan dude in there. Yeah, let's go get the big, muscular, black hair, brown-eyed Samoan dude. That makes sense.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I wasn't mad for the sole reason that I know Jason Momoa is just a good actor.
Yes.
But
I was
aside from that, it's like in any other case, I would be like, what the fuck is this?
You know?
His name is Arthur. How fitting is that for a large, bulky Samoan man with tribal tattoos? And I'm not knocking him because Jason Momoa is a terrifying man, but still.
Yeah. You know, but you know what's funny, though, on that note, just on a side subject right quick, as intimidating as he's looked, every article that I've ever read and every video that I've ever seen with him, the guy's like a big, fucking childish, cuddly teddy bear.
Like sweetheart.
Yeah, like all the videos I've seen of him interacting with fans, interacting with people, he just looks like he's having a great time. He's smiling, he's laughing, he's joking with people, he's acting goofy, and I'm just like, that dude seems like a dude I would want to hang out with. Like a dude I would want to go have a beer with. Like, yeah, okay, Jason Momoa, let's go meet Jason Momoa. Now, mind you, that was not my first impression of him. Because my first impression of him was in Game of Thrones as Drago.
I was going to say.
And his particular character and my first entrance into meeting him is the exact reason why I kind of stopped watching Game of Thrones. Like, I have nothing against Game of Thrones, but watching the big, like, caveman dude have his way with the little blonde chick, like, it didn't really sit well with me. Like,
I don't know how I feel about it. I'm a little bit uncomfortable.
You know, it was just like, can we watch something else now? But then once I saw him, I believe, because I'm trying to remember, did Justice League come out before Aquaman? I believe so, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
It was Wonder Woman, Justice League, and yeah. So once I saw him in Justice League as Aquaman, I saw a couple of clips from Aquaman. I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this a chance. You know, because I think he's going to do a pretty damn good job. But yeah, initially I didn't have that positive of an image of Jason Momoa. I was just like, that's just wrong. It's just not right. but since then, yes,
I think
the
best thing I've seen of him though is I agree though, perfect Aquaman. He knocks it out of the park utterly. I don't think anybody could have fit that because I don't think there's really stark blonde, blue-eyed. Big white guys like that around in Hollywood anymore, except for the people who have already been taken by Marvel.
Yes. You know who might have been way back in the day if he had a little bit more personality? Can't remember the actor's name. Ivan Drago was the name of his character in Rocky IV. Dolph Lundgren.
You mean, I would say Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren. Back in his younger days when he was a little bit smaller. Not Dolph now. Like Dolph Lundgren now, it's like, he's like as big as Brock Lesnar. But back then, he was a little bit trimmer.
Dolph Lundgren is legitimately Zangief from fucking Street Fighter.
Yes.
You cannot convince me otherwise.
100%. If you ever want to see, I don't know if I know this is before your time, but I don't know if your parents or older siblings ever exposed you to it, but the original live action He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Yes. No, I've seen that.
Yes,
I've seen
Dolph. It was one of those perfect roles for Dolph. Like Dolph Lundgren played the hell out of that role.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed him in that movie. So like I could see him playing a lot of different roles. But wow, dude, like yeah, Dolph would have been back then during his He-Man phase. He would have made a perfect Aquaman. But now, not so much. But I'm glad that they chose Jason Momoa. But let's answer this last question before we move on to the commercials and then jump on to wrestling. Unless there's some stuff you want to add, maybe comic book wise now.
Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but the single best video I've ever seen of Jason Momoa was one where he's in this little range, right? And he's just like, I'm Jason Momoa, and I like to drink beer. And he takes this oversized cup and downs like half of it. And he's like, and I like to throw hatchets. And he throws a hatchet like a clean yard. It just he launches that shit, and it nails this target dead in the middle, straight on the bullseye.
Yeah, I gotta kind of find that video.
It's like, this man is everything that I want to become. What is this?
He's a man. Oh man. All right, so after all that talk about the X-Men and MCU and all that and Spider-Man, we'll answer this final question. Is Sony making a mistake taking Spider-Man if they were to take Spider-Man out of the MCU? I say yes. I'll give my reason in a minute, though. What do you say?
I say yes, undoubtedly, not only for the fact that they're going to be losing out on a lot of money, but because of the reputation that Marvel and the entire Disney enterprise has, and how, if you haven't noticed, everybody and their mom is behind them regardless of the direction they take.
Yep.
Doing anything explicitly against them is a bad idea because of how it tarnishes your name.
Yeah.
If it gets bad, if it gets to a point further than where it is right now, I can honestly see it affecting the stocks of Sony if I'm not lying.
And not
because
in a positive
right
way.
Now, they aren't. Right now, Sony is the absolute villain. Yep. If you look anywhere, if you're checking Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Sony is the bad guy. Yep. Sony is the quintessential villain right now. And if he continues the way it is without giving back that one single character that everybody has fallen in love with, it's really going to put a big stain on your name. And I don't think it's going to look good for them going down the line with any next product that they put out.
I was going to say, and it's definitely going to hurt the ability to be able to push any further Spider-Man movies down the line because people aren't going to want to go see it. You know, once you've had Kobe beef, it's kind of hard to go back to the normal stuff. All right. For those of you who don't know what Kobe beef is, that's beef. What is it? It's cows that have only been fed like this specific type of grass that's like super healthy. So like, yeah, it's like the best possible beef that you can get. Once you've had that, ain't no going back to regular ground beef, 80-20%. Ain't no going back to that. And that's exactly what we had. We had Kobe beef with these Marvel Spider-Man movies, and now they want us to go back to regular beef. Sorry, Sony.
It's the opposite of rock bottom. When you reach the absolute peak, the only place to go from there is down.
Yep. And let me state one last thing. Those of you who are defending Sony, think about it like this. Even if that little kid that y'all are out on the basketball court, y'all are playing basketball, even though the little kid that owns the ball might have had a good reason to take his ball and go home, still doesn't make you any less pissed at him that now you can't play basketball anymore because he's gone. Think about it like that. That's the way I see it with Sony. Sony could have all the good reasons in the world for why they're taking Spider-Man out of the MCU. Still, it's not going to make me any less pissed that they're doing it. That's just
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The biggest fact here is that regardless of the reason, we might be losing one of the most in-depth characters in a very long time.
Yep. And it's sad because once again, and Sony and Marvel launched it perfectly without going back into all the Uncle Ben stuff and starting there. They just launched him into the universe and did it perfectly. They perfectly integrated him in everything, and Sony's just trying to F this all up. So I give my big round of applause, F you, to Sony. I'm clapping my two middle fingers together here.
The anti-applause.
You know, and they can go do that to themselves and take their Spider-Man. And shoot, I don't even know if I'll go and see the next Spider-Man movie, even if Tom Holland is in it. Like, I don't know. If
it means that we've lost him in the MCU.
Yeah. I don't know. But all right, so let's take a break real quick, catch our breaths, and we're going to and talk some wrestling. Because, you know, King of the Ring started this week on Raw and SmackDown. Right. And we have the Night of Champions card is developing, some new stuff within New Japan, and we'll talk a little bit about NXT making the move to USA come September. So thank you for listening in. This is the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the Voices Presents Radio Network, starring K-Double and Alpha. And we'll be back right after these commercial breaks. Peace.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
Hey guys, this is Venice, and I've got a message from a friend of mine about my favorite podcast.
It's your boy, Flavor Flav and Full Effect. Check this out, everybody. I want y'all to go check out TJ.
What's good, everybody? TJ Johnson here from Voice from the Underground. I am the most handsome.
Big Hass.
And I'm smoking my cigar, of course.
You know what I'm saying? The Dutch.
You pick me up in an Uber and a PT Cruiser, I'm calling Lyft.
Because they be fighting the power, talking about social issues, politics, you know what I'm saying?
And we're not even that good.
Right, we're terrible. Terrible. Tangents all over the place.
And not only that, but they be keeping it fun with the sports, music, comics, and movies too.
Am I allowed to talk?
I think no, not right now.
Shut up, colonizer!
You know what I'm saying? He on Twitter at VFU Podcast. So you can find them. So check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav. Yeah, boy.
Okay, what Flav was trying to say is, check out Voice from the Underground on your favorite podcast network.
Voice from the Underground.
Interruption in progress. Now hijacking into ANS 2.0 immersion rig. Now simulating the Amazing Nerd Show. Featuring comics.
And Batman's like, you're safe here and everything, but the Joker all of a sudden pulls out a gun and shoots himself.
Movies.
People fight with lightsabers. What the hell do you want? I mean, in every one of these movies, there's a lightsaber battle.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna rewatch it a million times.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, give me something more.
Wrestling.
That would be awesome. Oh my god, just a monster. Fans would be like, holy, what the hell's going on? What happened to Jericho?
Horror.
It starts off like any other like home invasion type of story, and then it just goes crazy.
And more.
Hey, this is Christian.
Hey, this is Dan.
And we are the Amazing Nerd Show.
Make sure to download us on all your favorite podcast platforms.
And we are back. Yes, big round of applause for us. I know. Yes. All right, man. So we're going to get to talking some wrestling. First thing we'll start out with before we jump into that King of the Ring is the return of Miss Banks has been anticlimactic, to say the least. Like, I like her new blue hair color. I do.
I like that more than the purple.
Yeah, but
no doubt.
Once again, WWE Creative has me saying, well, what the hell are you doing with her? Like, I can understand wanting to come out and attack Becky if, she's going after the belt right away. But why attack Natalya? It doesn't make any sense. Just to draw that heat?
Well, what's the point?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they should have a feud going, But I definitely like having Sasha back. I'm glad that they didn't put her back with Bayley as much as I like that combo. It was getting kind of tiresome. They had their run as tag team champs. They were the inaugural tag team champs. They did their thing. Splitting them up was a wise idea. It also invigorates the Raw women's division, which was kind of falling flat since Becky Lynch grabbed the belt.
I'm going to keep it very real with you.
Yeah.
I don't like Sasha Banks.
Oh, it's okay.
Straight up,
I understand
like no. I mean, I know I'm not gonna get like I'm not afraid to say it, but like for me, it's like you should never truly base someone's wrestling ability on the person they are outside of the ring.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard, one of the most consistent things is she is just a deplorable person, and really? I can't get through that, and it shows through with her character work because it seems like much like Enzo Amore. It seems like her character is less of I'm a character portraying somebody and more of I'm just being me on screen again. And that's dangerous for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But for me, Sasha Banks has always been like the queen of overhyped just to be overhyped.
For sure.
She can have good matches. She has good in ring talent for the most part, but for me it's just I've never felt anything for her other than like she's a bad person and a somewhat good wrestler.
Damn.
especially when you set her along somebody like the quote unquote four horsewomen. You have Bayley, who is utterly lovable and really good in ring.
Yeah.
Charlotte, who is Charlotte.
Yeah.
And Becky, who has become one of, if not the hottest thing in women's wrestling in a very long time.
Yep. So are you kind of saying that you feel like Sasha's kind of like John Cena was recently, and she's kind of forced down your throat?
Yeah.
Like she's not necessarily as popular as WWE gives her credit for?
Exactly. If she comes out and I say it all the time, but Sasha Banks breathes and Michael Cole hops up out of his chair. It's boss time.
Yeah.
Every single time she exists. And it's like, please, stop it.
No shit. Oh man, like, and I can agree with that. Like, I'm a Sasha Banks fan. I have been, depending on which character she's playing. If she's being that character where she's not really a face, she's not really a heel, she's just kind of a tweener, and she's just kind of there doing her thing, I like her in that role best. Because when you try to make her a face, she's not a good face. Because she's not a sympathetic
and you try to make her
figure.
And when you try to make her a pure snob, it doesn't work either.
Exactly. So I think you have to keep her in that in between, because if you take her too far to one side or another, the character loses its believability. And
I like to call that. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, and there's some irony to that, because you would think that being that heel, from what you were saying about her personally, would be closer to who she really is. So you would think that there wouldn't be that detachment. Mm-hmm. But even when she's a heel, it feels like she's playing a character. The same way when she's a face, it feels like she's playing a character. And I know there's a lot of smart asses out there who are going to listen to this and go, but she is playing a character. It's wrestling. Yes and no. Like, a person can do a gimmick so badly that you just feel detached from the gimmick and from the wrestler. And that's what Sasha Banks gives us when she's a heel. Is that you become so detached from the character, it just doesn't work. And so, like I said, hopefully they can find somewhere in between and get off of this whole friggin' heel stuff. And don't make her a face, don't make her a heel, just make her that person that's there. Kind of like Stone Cold Steve Austin, kind of like KO.
Damn it, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I like to call that Steve Austin syndrome.
Yeah.
Because if you take it in one direction too far, it loses all of its value.
Exactly.
Much like Steve Austin, it's when he went too far heel, he lost all of his mojo.
Yeah.
And if you take him too far into the white meat babyface area, is he really still Steve Austin?
Yeah, exactly. You know, you want him dead in that middle where he's badass enough that people know not to mess with him, but he's a softy enough that people that you can imagine the good guys working with him.
Exactly.
You want
and
you
that's
want
what
them
that,
right
exactly. It's very hard for wrestlers to reach that limbo.
Yep.
And it's even worse when they only work in that limbo, and that's what she has.
Who is it? Like I'll give you a prime example. Like The Rock. As much as I love The Rock is much better as an antagonist than he is as a protagonist.
Utterly true.
You know what I'm saying? The Rock character is so much better as a bad guy than he is as a face. Now, don't get me wrong. Because Dwayne Johnson is as good of a promo guy as he is, he makes it work either way. You know, but definitely better as his quips, his barbs, his insults come off a lot better when he's the bad guy than when he's the good guy. And that's what made his feuds with like Stone Cold Steve Austin so epic. Because you really couldn't tell who was the bad guy and who was the good guy. You know, and you found yourself rooting for the bad guy sometimes, you know, like, yeah, kick his ass. You know, I jumped back and forth between rooting for Rock and Stone Cold in their various feuds. I didn't have one.
That's the best type of feud, though.
Yeah.
That's the best type of feud, though, when you can't decide who you want to kick the other one's ass.
Yep.
When you're juggling it because they're both just that damn good.
I was talking to one of my friends the other day about wrestlers and telling a story in ring and how wrestlers go about doing that. And I was telling them that I was like, if you want to see a match, some matches where there's story told and you want to understand what a good wrestling match is, I was like Steamboat versus Macho Man Randy Savage at I believe it was WrestleMania 3 for the Intercontinental title. That's a match where a story was told. I was like Stone Cold versus Bret Hart. I couldn't remember which WrestleMania that was, though.
Mania 13.
Yes. That is another matchup where a story was told, and it was so obvious that a story was being told, you couldn't help but notice. I was like not Undertaker, Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior, WrestleMania 6.
Undertaker versus Shawn at 26 and 25.
Yep. I'm like, those ones were just killer in ring, and the story that was being told, like verbally, was just amazing. But I'm like, wrestlers put a lot of work into telling these stories, or at least the good ones do. And that's just something that we need to see that we haven't seen in a long while. They're trying to tell that now with the King of the Ring tournament. Wait a minute though. Okay, this is what I forgot. I did watch SmackDown and Raw this week. Did KO lose his match?
I wasn't able to catch it. I know what happened,
Elias?
but I don't remember exactly what happened. All I know is the only single thing that I know about those two is that Elias got a new theme and it's horrible.
Dang. What?
But I don't know the exact outcome of that.
That's interesting because I thought he should have been the favorite to win it all.
KO?
Yeah, my fiance's son's telling me that he did get eliminated.
No, yeah, because I had heard the idea that when you look at the King of the Ring, it's clear that it was brought back to really hype someone up, but nobody could really pin down who exactly.
Right, because I thought it might have been Braun Strowman, but Braun Strowman's not in the King of the Ring.
Very true. Yeah, you had talked about that before. I remember.
But so I'm like so, and with KO out of it, then I'm like, who? As the New Day would say, who?
Going into it, I was thinking maybe Drew McIntyre because everybody was talking about Drew finally being handpicked again by McMahon to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
So I was thinking possibly Drew, maybe Joe if we're lucky,
Yeah, I'm thinking those two are the favorites now at this point with no KO in the matchup. Then yeah, I would say Drew McIntyre. Sorry, I'm probably sounding really far away because I was away from the mic there. Drew McIntyre and Samoa Joe would be my favorites. But are they both on Raw? Huh?
I believe so. I believe both of them are on
So
Raw.
one or the other isn't going to make it to the finals. So that'll kind of answer that question for us if they're both on Raw.
Yeah, very soon that'll be answered, no doubt.
But I expected KO to come out of the whatchamacallit bracket, but oh well. Because the way I figured it is they had been talking about the fact that KO was being built to be the next Steve Austin. And we all know Steve Austin really became stone cold during that King of the Ring tournament that he won.
At KTOR. KOTR, wow. But no, yeah, exactly. It's everybody was talking about that, and especially with him using the stunner so much lately, it was this idea that he was supposed to become the next anti-hero Steve Austin, anti-authority guy.
Yeah.
And suddenly with him being eliminated, it's like, what's the point of all that build-up with Shane now?
Yeah, and did you notice? Like you said, you didn't watch SmackDown this week, so on SmackDown there was a little thing where he kind of came in and he's apologizing to Shane to see about getting the $100,000 fine reversed and all this, and I'm like, wait a minute, okay, all this backtracking doesn't equal up to a Stone Cold Steve Austin type character. I'm like, because Stone Cold would have been like, $100,000 fine, make it $1 million, I don't give a shit, fuck you, and stunner, and he'd be out the door.
Exactly.
You know. And so I'm like, are they now backing off of that whole anti-establishment like thought process that they had going with him? I hope not, because that was one of the hottest storylines going, and I hope y'all didn't plan on just building it up to that SummerSlam match and that was it.
That's the worst part about WWE booking, is that although there are stints of outright horrible booking, it's inconsistent booking that kills it.
Yes.
Everything is inconsistent. Nothing lines up with each other.
Yep.
It's not like the Attitude Era where this is one universe with multiple characters. It's now everybody has their own separate world that functions very differently, and it's all types of wrong.
And let me give a big thumbs down and a boo to WWE Creative for what they've done with the 24/7 championship. Look, man, I get it. You want the title to stay relevant, but to me, the way to make the title stay relevant isn't to put it on Elias and let him carry it around and have Shane canceling the rules for the 24/7 championship all over the place so that Elias could not have to worry about it. If he's going to be champ, then he has to worry about it. That's the plus of it. That's the minus of it. Is that if you have the championship, you're going to have to worry about being attacked mid-match. You're going to have to worry about being pinned when you're not looking. Like, nah, man. If you're going to cancel it every week so that he can have this match or that match or he can fight in his King of the Ring matches, then take the strap off of him and put it on somebody else that can keep it going like R-Truth. Because you had a great storyline running there for a few months.
How do you ruin something as good as R-Truth with that title?
I don't know. But the
how
WWE...
do you fuck it up?
Well, we're about to find out, because that looks like the exact road that they're taking.
Exactly. But to get away from just being the guys that scream at WWE,
yeah,
it's I know you probably don't watch it, and I don't watch it consistently. But were you able to catch this week's episode of 205 Live?
No, I was not. What happened?
Okay, so they've been building up this really big feud between Oni Lorcan and the 205 Live champion Drew Gulak.
Uh-huh.
And they had a 10-man elimination tag match this week on 205 Live.
Okay.
And damn, was it good.
Yeah.
I'm a bit biased because I'm a massive Oni Lorcan fan. I've been a fan of his since he was Biff Busick and fucking CZW, dude.
Nice.
So I've followed this guy everywhere. But they had a really good match. They pulled out the new boy that was signed, one I've been telling you about for a long while, Isaiah Swerve Scott, previously known as Shane Strickland. They brought him in as part of Team Oni Lorcan, and nice. He did what he did, and he did what he does, and he wrestled his ass off nice and well.
Sweet.
But they they had this interweaving story between Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo because they're cousins, they're family. So they worked that in, and it was a really good match. Given it's a really long match because of course it's a 10-man elimination tag, but it's a really good match. And if you can catch it, if you have a little under an hour to spare, I suggest you watch it because for 205 live action, it's really damn good. They always do good with multi-man matches like that, and it's peak 205 live.
Well, it kind of pisses me off. Like I don't mind 205 live being its own entity, its own type of show, but I really wish they wouldn't have separated the cruiserweights from the rest of the main roster.
I agree.
Really do. Like they should have left it. We should have been continuing to have cruiserweight matches on Raw and on SmackDown Live from time to time. And I thought that making 205 Live its own entity with its own roster was silliness. Like it was great because I think what drew interest to 205 Live was seeing the feuds carry on onto Raw and SmackDown. And having a match here or there. Yeah. So when you isolate 205 Live, then it's like people have to take a specific set of time out of their day off to the side just to be able to watch 205 Live instead of being able to keep up with what's going on with it by just
exactly. Like it really points out its flaws when it's isolated like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, and I've been preaching this ever since it came around, shouldn't NXT UK, and 205 Live just be one big 2-hour show?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Would that not make everything easier? And I don't know about you, but I would watch the shit out of that.
Oh yeah. You get a main event. Oh yeah. You could build that card, and as a 2-hour show, they have enough people on both rosters between the male and female division to work it out perfectly.
That's a lot of variety. You're seeing multiple different titles, so you don't have to go back and rehash titles from the olden days.
Yep.
You have a crop of new talent, and you have a 2-hour time gap.
Sure.
That, to me, would be picture perfect.
Yep.
Because that way you're not expending all that. And not even, if we're even getting down to the furthest logistics of it, one traveling show of that with house shows would be easier than 205 Live being a part of SmackDown.
Yep.
Or going on its own, because that's a lot of money lost.
Yep. One quick thing, slightly off subject only because of what I'm about to say. But let me give it up to Montez Ford. My boy had my line of the week. When asked by what's his partner's name? Andrew Dawkins.
Angelo Dawkins.
Angelo Dawkins. But when asked by Angelo Dawkins why they don't have a Kings of the Ring tag team King of the Ring tournament, he turned around and said, because the Street Profits already are the Kings of the Ring. What are you talking about? We got the crowns. We got the chips. I was like, get it, boys. Get it. That's the compliment.
Give this man a medal. Give this man a medal.
I'm
telling you, they have it. The Street Profits have it.
They have it, and they can connect with the crowd. They know how to cut a promo together. I'm pretty sure Montez Ford knows how to cut a promo solo, but it's even funnier when you have him interacting with Angelo Dawkins. Like, it's just, Street Profits are ready, guys.
Dude,
Strike
that little thing that they're going with Angelo Dawkins having like that weird little crush on Nikki Cross, that's fucking golden. Like, it's just more and more little character work for both of them that really makes you actually invested in them.
Oh yeah,
and it's perfect.
Oh man, very, very well done.
Absolutely.
Night of Champions is beginning to develop up, or beginning to come together. I guess so far we've got Charlotte versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title. We've got Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's title. I think they said the Revival versus New Day for the SmackDown Championships.
Oh, man.
And then I'm assuming
I'm already shaking at that match.
And then I'm assuming that it will most likely be the OC versus Seth and Braun for the for the Raw Tag Team Championships.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see.
Well, if you mind, may I get on my soapbox real quick?
By all means.
I'm a little bit angry.
All right.
I'm gonna make it very clear. I am a tag team wrestling man. I don't know about you, but tag team wrestling is my shit. I love it. Tag matches are where it's at. The utter chaos. Two people working together the way they do. How personalities can clash that way. All the different mix and matches. And if you have already established teams, you can do so much good stuff with tag team wrestling.
Yes, you can. I would agree.
But do me a favor and think to yourself, were either of the tag team titles defended at SummerSlam?
Nope.
They were not.
Nope.
Was the IC title defended at SummerSlam?
Nope.
But did we see Charlotte versus Trish Stratus for fuck all?
Unfortunately, yes, we did.
I'm angry. God damn it. And now, out of nowhere, you're taking Gallows and Anderson, who have been finally getting some limelight, and you take the titles off them to put the title on someone who, one, has been getting no steam for the last few months, and the other on the fucking world champion.
Oh.
I'm angry.
No, I
What
agree.
booking is this? Whose idea was this?
No, I will say
And
only because Paul Heyman is running things, I will wait to see how things play out before I allow the top to blow off in my head. But if this doesn't lead to them winning it back, and then that starts the feud between Braun and Seth going into Hell in a Cell, that's the only way I'll accept this. Is if they go to defend the belts, some shit happens, Seth ends up... Because I have this weird feeling that because Seth and Braun are champs, the Universal Championship is not going to be defended at Night of Champions. Because if you notice that they haven't even given Seth a contender yet.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? So I have this weird feeling that the Universal Championship is not going to be defended. Your main event is probably going to be for the Raw Tag Team Championships with those two. And it's going to be something where something happens, Braun accidentally hits Seth, and it's going to set up your feud over the Universal Championship for Hell in a Cell. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
You know what? Okay, you know what? You got me there. If they get the tag titles back, and it actually turns out to be a good feud, I will eat my words live on air.
But that's the only way it will work.
Exactly. That's the only singular way I'll do it.
Anything short of that, yeah.
I'm not taking it. Nada. But I'm angry.
Yes.
Once again, Vince McMahon is proving that he is not pulling the trigger on wrestling. I'm sorry, but with the roster that they have, the tag teams are on fire. You have heavy machinery. You have somehow made a good tag team out of Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan.
Rowan, you know?
Exactly. You have all of these people who are hitting every single mark as a tag team, yet you aren't pulling the trigger on any of them. I am still utterly salty as hell that Rusev Day did not get their tag team title, their shots with the belts.
And now Rusev is nowhere
still
to be
salty.
found.
Exactly. Like, do you not remember how hot they were?
Oh, yeah.
How, they had the entirety of Mania 34 screaming Rusev Day.
Yep.
They were on fire. And as per usual, no trigger was pulled.
Yep.
I am angry.
I do not blame you. Now, speaking of, the Roman Reigns injury storyline took another step forward this past week on SmackDown. The Roman Reigns mysterious attacker storyline. As Daniel Bryan brings forth somebody that he says he knows did it, and he found forensic evidence to prove that this guy did it, and this was the guy that did it. They make you wait to the last 30 seconds of the show. Roman walks back into this room where Eric Rowan and Daniel Bryan are, and he says, "So, who is it? Let's pull this hood off.
Man.
Who is this guy?" Yeah. And it's basically like...
Eric Rowan, too.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a poor man's Eric Rowan. I don't know how else to put that, but it's a poor man's Eric Rowan. And, yeah. It's just another stupid loop to what has so far been a stupid storyline.
This is literally just I did it for The Rock Part 2. It's terrible booking and horrible promos and all. This is literally just I did it for The Rock Part 2.
Somebody reminded me, my girl's son was comparing it to the Rikishi storyline.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I did it for The Rock.
Yeah. It's just, come on, WWE. You would think 15, 20 years down the road, you could write a better storyline. And using another Samoan from the Hanoi family.
The Hanoi family. It's like, you're doing this on purpose, and you're just pissing me off.
Yep. Oh, just side note, once again, like I mentioned last week, I saw the movie. I'll mention this week. For those of you that were hoping that Roman Reigns may have a speaking role in Hobbs and Shaw, he does not. He's on screen about 8 different times. He's in like 8 different scenes, but he does not have a single, he does not say a single word. He does not have a single line in the entire thing.
I'm happy for the single fact that he clubs the cranium out of somebody.
Yes, he does.
But yeah.
Well, the reason why I got disappointed by the fact that he had no lines wasn't because I'm such a huge Roman Reigns fan and I wanted to see him have lines, but it was because all the hype and build-up about him being in that movie. Like hearing about it every Monday on Raw and all the rest of that. All that hype and build-up over him being in that movie, and he doesn't even have a speaking line. But then
He's essentially just a background character.
Yeah. I was like, but then I thought back to all the hype and build that they did for The Rock being in Scorpion King, and he was in it for a total of about 3 minutes and 35 seconds and only said, "bah" a couple of different times.
No, that's The Mummy. That's The Mummy.
Oh, The Mummy, sorry. What did I say it was? Sorry, my bad.
No, you said Scorpion King. Scorpion King was the movie where he was the main character.
Right.
No,
But wasn't that in one of The Mummy, wasn't it called The Mummy the Scorpion King? Or no? It was
The Mummy 3. The Mummy 3 at the very end. They have Dwayne Johnson come in as the fabled Scorpion King, and he's literally just this monster with mocap Dwayne Johnson.
Pretty much, yeah. It was one of the biggest disappointments I'd ever seen. Like really to me, like everybody's like, The Rock. I'm like, you guys have built up to me for 6 weeks about The Rock being in this movie, and you give me 2 minutes and 35 seconds of The Rock being in this movie. He ain't even saying nothing. Like, and it's the same thing with the Roman Reigns thing. All that hype, all that build up about Hobbs and Shaw, Roman Reigns on Hobbs and Shaw. And I'm like, okay, cool. And they showed all the scenes of Roman Reigns standing there lining up with The Rock, and I'm like, oh, this looks like it's going to be cool. Not a single line. Roman Reigns the scene is about The Rock and another one of the Samoan dudes there. It's not even like The Rock and Roman Reigns don't even really have much interaction in it. And so I'm just like,
he could have been cast as anybody else, and it would have the same effect.
Pretty much. Like, and I don't doubt that a lot of the Samoans that they used in the movie were from the Hanoi family. I would not doubt it. Like, because a lot of them look like they might have been related to The Rock. Like, and I'm not even talking about because they're all big Samoan dudes. I'm just talking about like look facially wise, Oh, on that quick side note, that launched me into another quick side note. I watched a promo the other day from, I'd say it has to be at least early 2000s, late 90s. Probably early 2000s, because I don't think Orton was around in the late 90s. Orton didn't come around until 2002, 2003, something like that. So it had to be.
I was going to say Orton debuted in 2002.
Okay, so 2002. So I'm thinking this had to be like somewhere around 2004, 2005. The Rock's cutting a promo, and Randy Orton comes out, and Randy Orton is the Intercontinental Champion at the time. And The Rock cuts this promo where he talks about, oh, and you want me to remember you? Yeah, I remember you, Randy. I bet you don't remember me, though. I remember you, your father, Bob Orton. He's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, him in the Hardcast. Yeah, and he's like, I remember him. He brought you over to me. He was like, hey, right? He's like, hey, Dwayne, meet my son. This is Randy Orton. He's going to be a wrestler one day. He said, and I looked up and said, Mr. Orton, no, our son's not going to be a wrestler. I'm just going to end up whipping his ass. I was like, damn, dude. It was just a random promo that I ran across on Facebook when I was scrolling through some other things. And I watched it, and I was like, wow, dude, I ain't seen a good Rock promo like that in a long time.
Did you see the other one he cut on Randy years ago, dude?
Well,
I
probably
think it was
did, but
Randy. I'm pretty sure it was Randy.
Yeah.
The one where he was like, I heard your dad was Bob Orton. My dad was fucking Rocky Johnson Maivia. My daddy kicked your daddy's ass.
Yeah.
My daddy kicked your daddy's ass. Yeah. My mom kicked your ass.
No, that was okay. No. This is the promo.
Yeah.
This is the promo because that was right before he got into the "I Met You" thing. He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I remember your daddy and I remember my daddy Rocky Johnson beating his ass." And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "And your granddaddy? Yeah, I remember the great Chief Peter Maivia whipping his ass too." And I was just like, "He's like, it's a long line of ass whoopings your family did took." And I'm like, "Yeah, well." And I'm sorry, like a lot of people don't understand. Like I was talking to a friend of mine about wrestling in general. A lot of people don't understand how close Vince McMahon is to the Inouye family. Like Vince knows and understands and realizes exactly how much money he's made off of the Inouye family. You know,
absolutely. That's why he gave Roman that deal. That's why Roman went straight to FCW.
Yep.
Straight up to main roster, and that's why he's been pushed the way he has. You set him alongside everybody else who was in his family, and it's like, look the money he's made from each and every member.
Yep. And that's also, I'll add one more to that. That's also why, according to an article that I just recently read, the new contract that Roman Reigns just signed makes him the highest paid wrestler on the roster. Close to like $5 million a year.
Bloody hell.
I'm like, or should I say, the highest paid full time, because I believe Brock's deal was like close to 10 a year. Is what Brock.
No, Brock's making $12 million, I believe.
Yeah, so obviously he's not paid more than those part timers, but as far as the full timers, yeah, he's the highest paid by like a long shot, the highest paid out of all of them. I was just like, wow. And they were saying base guarantee. And this was something I learned about WWE contracts. I guess there's a base guarantee, and then on top of that, you make gate off of all of the shows that you're a part of. So it's $3 million base is what it is. That means if WWE, as long as the Roman Reigns is under contract, even if WWE doesn't use him for a single show all year, he makes $3 million. Okay, that's if they had him sitting at home with nothing for him. He makes $3 million. But with him being in main events the way he is, and in the main parts of storylines, and being on every pay-per-view and at every Raw and almost every SmackDown and all that, the contract will be worth closer to $5 million a year.
God damn.
Hey,
that's
man,
fucking incredible.
Wrestlers can't say that they're shorted the way that they used to back in the day. Because I'm sorry, guys. Like, yeah, back in the day, Vince was paying Hulk Hogan like $2,000 when he was making $150,000 on the show. You know, he was undercutting them. But these guys nowadays are getting paid.
Like I'll never forget. Like, have you considered that in the prime of when they were like getting their highest pay, every member of the Shield added up was over $10 million. That was their salary.
Good Lord Jesus. But they were one of the hottest commodities in wrestling at that time, too.
I mean, no, I'm not saying it wasn't unjust, because don't get me wrong, those three men are going to carry wrestling to its new generation, one way or another.
Yeah.
But still, it's utterly insane that between three men alone, not even including merchandise and what you mentioned, that's more than I'm ever going to make.
Yep. Oh, get this. I found out, and this is just a good reference for you wrestling fans out there. Maria Kanellis and Mike Kanellis have $500,000 base contracts apiece, which means we don't know how much they truly make after appearances and all that. But base, they would get paid $500,000 a year just to sit at home. So I'm sorry, I'm going to say this right now. Any wrestler that y'all sitting there talking about, oh man, They ain't doing nothing with them. Why they got them sit at home? If you want to be mad at them because you think that they should use them and not instead of not using them, I understand that. But if you're gonna try to get mad at them because, oh well he could be making. Trust me, these fools are making more than enough money even when they're sitting at home. Because I don't know of a single job on this planet that will pay you $500,000 for doing basically nothing.
Like, don't get me wrong. I'm always going to feel bad that, there are people not being used and all, but it's like, if my boss came up to me and was like, hey, dude, you want to go take, 6 months off, do jack all, and get paid $500,000, I'm not going to be the idiot that tells him no.
I'm going to be the dude. So what time can I clock out and start that now? Or do I need to wait till the end of my shift? Like when does this start? Like,
do I just dip or like?
How is this working? Sure. Oh man, but yeah, man, like these wrestlers are getting paid insane amounts, and like I said, then when you add up the gates and all of that they make for actually being on shows every week and in the pay-per-views every month, like they make a decent amount of money. They truly do. Like now, I will say this: independent wrestlers need to be paid more, but independent bookers don't quite make as much as Vince McMahon makes off a show. So they can't be expected to play nowhere near what Vince and them are and places like AEW are paying. But yes, independent wrestlers do, because like I said, I had a friend of mine, and like I said, we'll have him on the show eventually, that my bro drove to LA on his own to go basically perform at a wrestling show for what amounted to about $75, and then had to drive all the way back and go to work the next morning at 8 a.m. at fucking Target. So, like, yeah, those indie guys, those are the guys that are doing it for the love of wrestling, because they don't really make shit unless you've established yourself as a name, huh?
That's where we need the wrestling union.
Yeah,
I've heard it before, and that's like that particularly is where we need it.
Because
I wouldn't say we need it even half as much for the guys that work for WWE, NXT, even for some of the guys in New Japan with the shows that they're putting on and the amount of people they're pulling in and the amount they're selling for. But for the little guys like that, for the small, smart-time promotions, I believe that there needs to be a wrestling union, because what rights do they have there?
None. You take whatever the promoter's willing to give you, which is why, and a lot of people don't understand this, which is why 90% of smaller promotions have wrestling schools attached to them. Because you can fill out your show with your students and not have to pay your students.
And I'm sorry, but that's manipulative as shit.
It is. But it's how a lot of them get there. You bring in a couple of guys like a Chris Masters. You pay them the $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 that they're due, because you know that they're going to draw, and then you fill out the rest of the show with your students. And your students aren't necessarily expecting to make anything or as much as those other guys are making.
At that point, they just want to break. They just want to perform.
They just want to perform, exactly. And so it's a quick way. Now, like I said, I can't sit here and say it's a bad thing, because those same promoters that do that with their wrestling school are also the same promoters that hook those guys up with other jobs, with other wrestling promoters, to help them continuously work and be able to make, more money than just what they would be making at their show. They hooked them up with other jobs. But yeah, from what I've heard, I don't know too many wrestling promoters that actually pay the kids from their school extremely well to perform in those shows. Normally, the kids that are from their school are just doing it for exposure and a chance to get in the ring and work. So, but yes, at the independent level, we need a wrestlers union to be able to work out some of this thing and start getting some base pay for these guys, to make sure that people are all being paid what they're supposed to be, or what they're worth. I can't even say what they're supposed to be paid. They're just being paid what they're worth. And not risking their lives and driving 45 miles or 45 to 100 miles out of their town just to go do a wrestling show for barely enough money to pay for the gas to get them back home. Yeah. You know, so I'm not saying you got to pay them like a minimum wage or living wage or whatever like that. You might want to think about that, but I'm not saying you got to pay them that much, 15 an hour or or whatever, because wrestling doesn't break down that way. But pay them something that's more worth their time. If you got a wrestler coming from San Jose to come work your show in L.A., pay him enough money that he has enough money to pay for all of his expenses, his hotel that he's going to have to rent while he's down there for the show, and then put a little bit of money into his pocket. Make it worth his time to drive all that way and show up. So, but that's all I really got to say about that one there. Last thing we'll talk about. What's up?
Go ahead.
Oh no, what were you saying?
I was gonna say I have a little factoid before we go into New Japan in a minute.
What's that?
There is one single wrestler who has worked for WWE, WCW, ECW, New Japan, NJPW, CMLL, and AAA.
Who is that?
Can you tell me who that person is?
Christian.
Wrong.
No, he never worked for WCW, did he?
Nope.
No.
All right, I'll give you a hint. He is, I'd say, easily one of the top 15 most prolific luchadors of all time.
Rey Mysterio?
Nope, but you're getting closer.
Prolific luchadors. You got me, boss. You didn't stump me.
It's goddamn Psychosis.
Really? Like, oh yeah, he wasn't ECW. He worked for WCW. He worked for WWE. He was in the Cruiserweight division. I remember when he worked for WWE because I remember that stupid-ass gimmick when they used to come out on the lawnmowers.
Exactly. And
wow.
If you remember correctly, he had that really, really good fucking 12-year feud with Tajiri.
Yeah, I remember that. Wow.
It took me a minute to know, like, wait, that dude's been everywhere.
Yeah, he has. That's the epitome of somebody taking a job wherever they can get it, huh?
Exactly. And damn, is he a good wrestler, too.
You know? All right. So, you got any New Japan news?
Absolutely.
Floor is yours, friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Super J Cup is here. I'd say my second favorite tournament that New Japan holds of the 86 that they hold a year. God damn it! And I have the matches lined up, ready to go. And of course, the first match that we have lined up is Will Ospreay versus Amazing Red.
Nice.
And immediately that made me realize that the boy Will Ospreay has performed now in Best of the Super Juniors, the G1, and now the Super J Cup. Nice. All consecutively within the same year. This is really, for me, hammering in that idea that Will Ospreay actually has a really good contendership for being one of the best wrestlers in the world, because in all three, I don't think I saw a match where I didn't like.
Nice.
He's been utterly throwing it all on the line recently, and it's been showing. Good match after good match after good match, and I don't know too much about this Amazing Red guy, but I'm confident whatever they're going to do is going to be fucking spectacular. Next, we have... Go ahead.
That Amazing Red, could it be the Amazing Red they used to wrestle in Impact?
I think so. The white guy with the mohawk sort of thing?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a damn good match. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a damn good match because he was one of the best high flyers in Impact and one of the best wrestlers that they ever had. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be a damn good match.
When I get that match, though, I'm going to link it to you. Then I got you. But and then we have Sho versus Taiji Ishimori, which I look forward to because Taiji Ishimori very much likes to hurt people. And then we have Sho's partner Yo going up against Dragon Lee, which I'm going to get into a little bit later, but I'm confident that's going to be amazing because each member of Roppongi 3K has really shown their chops as single superstars, and I'll get into Dragon Lee a little bit later, but to say the least, he's damn good. Up next, we have Robbie Eagles versus El Phantasmo, which I'm very interested in because I really liked the whole, although I really didn't like it in and of itself because as much I really love Robbie Eagles has left the Bullet Club and joined Chaos, and most of that was due to this little feud he has going with El Phantasmo, which I really look forward to because Robbie Eagles is a really good high flyer. and El Phantasmo is a really good heel. I'd say he's on Jay White and Toru Yano levels of just pure heel fuckery constantly.
Nice.
And I'm really interested in what they're going to do with it. And then next up, we have Ryusuke Taguchi versus Jonathan Gresham. I haven't seen too much of Jonathan Gresham. Wow, good job. Jonathan Gresham. But I know he's a really good submissionist. And Ryusuke Taguchi is funny as hell, so I'm confident that they're going to knock it out of the park, even if it's not going to be one of the best matches coming out of this tournament. Then we have Caristico versus Bushi. Which, if you don't know, Caristico is Sin Cara with a different name. Caristico is because I forgot what his name was before he joined WWE, but it was something along the lines of Caristico. But then he came into WWE and became Sin Cara. Then he mixed the names and became Caristico. And I personally don't like the guy because he has the reputation for fighting everybody backstage for the fuck of it. But I like Bushi because, emo luchador. Why the hell not? Yeah. Up next, we have Clark Connors versus TJP. As in TJ Perkins.
What?
Yeah. I didn't expect this one.
I didn't know he wasn't with WWE anymore.
No, he left a few months ago and he went to Impact. And he's been doing some stuff in Impact, and apparently now he's in the Super J Cup.
That's insane.
Then we have... it's really weird. I don't like the visual. It's weird. It's out of place. But I'm curious, though, because I know TJP puts on good matches.
Hell yeah.
And then we have Rocky Romero versus Sobrano Jr. I'm sorry if I butchered that, but I'm guessing he's one of the guys from CMLL because I know New Japan and CMLL have a very, very good working relationship, so I'm guessing they've taken him in. But Rocky Romero's really damn good. He had a match with El Phantasmo in the Best of the Super Juniors. And he's, despite being a little bit on the older side right next to Ryusuke Taguchi, he consistently puts on good matches in the junior division. Better as a personality, but still really good as a wrestler.
Yeah.
And then we have a tag match with Jushin Thunder Liger and Carl Fredericks versus Shota Umino and Ren Narita. I'm always hyped to see anything pertaining to Jushin Thunder Liger, but especially if it's some veteran slapping the living daylights out of any of the young lions, so I'm not complaining at all. Yeah. I'm interested with what they're going to do with Shota Umino, especially after he's hot off the tag with the whole Jon Moxley thing going on. I'm hoping they'll really push him as an actual personality now with that. And I've been hearing about Ren Narita getting slapped around by guys just the same way. I think the lineup for the Super J Cup definitely isn't as utterly stacked with 5-star talents like the G1 and the Best of the Super Juniors was. But I can tell that it's going to be good matches regardless, especially with the little feuds and things that they have worked in. There we go.
Yep. That's all of them?
That's all of them.
Nice. Sounds like an amazing card to me. Definitely link me in that Amazing Red match because there was not a single match in TNA that he was in that I did not enjoy.
Absolutely.
So definitely. All right. So last topic before we call it a night. I gotta start getting ready for work here in a little bit. WWE announced that USA or NXT will be moving to USA starting in September. Wednesday nights, of course, we all know that this is in conjunction with battling with AEW.
It's the Wednesday Night Wars.
Yep. I don't have any issue with them moving NXT over to natural TV. Like, I thought it should have been there from day one. My only issue is that I've heard that Vince McMahon will be taking over control of NXT once it makes that debut on USA. I don't like that.
Big no-no.
I don't like that. The brand has thrived because Vince has had nothing to do with it. The brand has thrived because minds like Triple H and Shawn Michaels were the ones behind the scenes running it, along with William Regal and some other creative types. It thrived because Vince McMahon was not there. Don't let Vince McMahon ruin NXT. I saw a poster the other day that had me laughing, but it had me crying at the same time because there's some truth to it. It was like, now that Vince has taken over NXT, how long do you think before we see this? And it was Brock Lesnar with the NXT Heavyweight Championship around his over his shoulder.
Yikes!
And I was just like, please no, please no.
I don't like it because it's possible.
Exactly. It irks me even more because I know it's actually possible. Because there was already talk of them bringing main roster talents to NXT when they make that move. I like the move to USA. I don't like Vince taking it over, and I think it's not going to work out well for the brand. The brand is going to go downhill, and they're going to end up losing to AEW. Real talk, they're going to end up losing to AEW because Vince is going to screw up the product so much.
Competition breeds the best out of everybody.
Yep.
But I think that if Vince takes control of that, I don't think it's going to look nice. There won't be a competition. AEW is just going to utterly pummel them. Yep. In quality.
And so, Vince, this is my one plea to you. Maybe this will get to your ears, maybe it won't, but please don't take over. Let Triple H and Shawn and them boys continue running NXT. You can still make millions off of NXT, man. It's still your company. It's still underneath the WWE banner and brand. Let somebody else run it. Because like, you're going to end up destroying what is an amazing product and really is what it is one of the best parts of WWE as of right now.
I would say American wrestling as a whole, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I can go with that because I would say that it's slightly above ROH and those guys as well. So like, yeah, Vince, please, it's leap years above Impact. I would say, Vince, please don't ruin this. Please don't ruin this. Please don't f this up. That's all I can ask. But your thoughts on the move, brother?
I of course, I think it's good for the sole reason that, there's going to be more competition. I like the idea of giving NXT more runtime, giving them more PR, a lot more eyes on it. I'm all for that because as much as I love NXT and it being such an underground thing, with more money and production and sunken into it, we're going to get a better product.
Right.
But so long as the writing team stays the same and there's no sway from Vince.
Yes.
Vince did a very good job of staying from the outside looking in and not having too much of a sway on what goes on. That is Triple H's brainchild, and I think it should stay that way.
Yep. And Vince
Utterly.
Vince can't stand back and let anybody have success in the wrestling world without him being a part of it. We all know that, unfortunately.
Exactly.
All right. And on that morbid note,
two things though.
Yeah, what's the
Let me
real
get
quick,
two last things in.
Go for it.
I need to get in my wrestler of the week.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not only that, but if you haven't heard, the XFL have released their teams.
Hit me with them, brother.
I don't have them right now. I don't have them. I don't have them off the top of my head. But let me tell you, it is badass. Yeah. It's a lot of really dope ass names, a lot of really fitting things, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I saw only two West Coast cities that are like the 6 or 8 teams that are going to be in the league. LA and Seattle were the only 2 West Coast cities.
True. They've released a few. I don't think all of them though. Okay. I'm not quite sure. But that's a little tidbit because I actually look forward to the XFL.
Yeah.
I actually really look forward to that. But bridging off of that, my wrestler of the week, the previously mentioned Dragon Lee.
Nice.
If you haven't seen any of this stuff, do yourself a big old favor and do so. The man has been tearing it up in New Japan since he moved over there around last year.
Nice.
He was one of the many CMLL imports, and CMLL is good talent for the most part.
For sure.
Dragon Lee can really work. He's a damn good junior, real light on his feet. But his finishing move is this suplex powerbomb. And damn, it looks unreal. It looks like it shouldn't be humanly possible.
So basically he picks him up in a suplex and then flips him out into the powerbomb and brings him down?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
He flips them into the suplex and like the point where they hit straight vertical, feet up in the air. when that point he mid-air transitions them from his hand on their arm in a suplex position and their legs on his shoulders, and he fucking brings them down. And it doesn't look like it should be physically possible. It doesn't look like it should be real, but it is, and it looks amazing.
Shoot me a
Aside
match.
from that,
if you can, shoot me a link to a match so I can watch it.
I absolutely will. I'm gonna. Last year he had a lot of really good matches with Taiji Ishimori, and I think he's gonna tear it up again in Best of the Super Juniors. He held the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship for a while, so I think that shows that, you know, if the New Japan brass can see something in him, I think everybody can.
No shit. Yeah.
Do yourself a favor, check out some Dragon Lee matches. He's pretty damn good.
For sure. So that ends the show on a positive note instead of that moribund point with Vince McMahon. Yes, Dragon Lee, check him out. Got the Alpha stamp of approval. That's what we're going to start calling that, the Alpha stamp of approval.
Yeah, buddy. The Alpha stamp of approval.
But other than that, looks like we're out of subjects for this week. Join us again next Sunday. Let me see. Later on tonight, we should have a Now versus Then or MVT Deuce. There should already be an episode of Brick House already posted. Same thing with Lip Gloss and Mike's by the time we come on. Check out Kings and Queens of Porn, Dirty Talk 101 on Monday and Tuesday. And then we have, coming up this upcoming Friday, we have Double K or K-Double's 5th period music class. This last week was K-Double's or Double K's classroom. Be sure to check that out as well. We've got K-Double's 5th period music class where actually I am doing my favorite mix. I'm literally going back through all 60 of my previous episodes. I'm going to find the top 16 songs that I like. So it's just going to be a mixture of all different types of music with all different types of artists. Like I'm probably going to take like in 1 or 2 songs per show. So it'll probably be about a 2-hour episode that I'll be doing next Friday. So be sure to listen in for that. And then Mr. Deacon on Saturdays. And then you come back to us on Sundays with Cheap Pop. So keep listening in. Hope you all enjoyed. Alpha, any last words for him?
Bye, people. I'll see you again.
All right, and that's it. We'll check y'all out next week. Peace.